We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck! Don't let me shoot you! He can't fucking breathe! Don't let me shoot you! We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning. This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. That was weird. There we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. I, of course, am your hostess with the mostest. The meter does many things. And with me, as always, is the panel full of throat goats here ready to get into all the shit talking and shenanigan, the fight announcements and fuckery that has trickled out the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. First and foremost, though, before we get into all that fun and fuckery, how you doing over there, gentlemen?
Depends on what you want me to answer that question with.
Yes.
Or just say I'm doing.
There you go.
I'm glad you're doing, brother. I'm glad to fucking be back here on time, being able to be a part of the whole damn show, not having to walk home and be a part of this. Good to be off on a fucking Thursday. Glad to get to talk some bullshit, because this week is gonna suck.
Yep.
I'm just excited to see some fights this weekend. I don't really care where they come from.
There is that as well. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and jump into things, kicking it off the way that we like to around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, cancellations, official rumor confirmations and denials, and relevant things in the fight world we feel important enough to tell you fine folks about. Uh, First one we go to here. It's a little obvious you've been watching, but the facts of the matter, as they say, have been laid out here. Melkaziel Costa, after his loss to Arnold Allen, has decided that he, much like several other featherweights, has decided that he is going to officially move up to lightweight. After admitting that to make weight for his recent main event fight, he had to cut 49 pounds in the span of 2.5 weeks, and that's just not good for anyone at any weight class. Not that 10 less pounds is going to make it suddenly okay, but the less weight you cut, the better for your body and the better your ability to actually translate that into the fight you will see. So hopefully we get to see some interesting matchups against Melky at 55, because there are a ton of interesting matchups up there for him as well. So we will see how that goes through. Jumping into this weekend, we had a late notice changeup on Monday. Victor Henry officially pulled out of his match with Bryce Mitchell for this weekend, but they were able to find someone to step in. So Bryce Mitchell is staying on the card and now is instead going to be taking on Santiago Luna this Saturday in a very different kind of matchup than what we had originally booked. That being said, we've got some interesting matchups going forward for the next couple of weeks here. The first one, as if it wasn't already stacked enough, July 11th, UFC 329, Return of McGregor, just also added another fight to the card that's going to make it that much more entertaining. Bobby Green versus Terrence McKinney. Someone is going to fucking sleep in that fight. I can tell you right now with 100% fucking certainty. One of those gentlemen are going to get knocked the fuck out because neither one of them play it safe enough to make it a whole fight with the other. The following week, July 18th, I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about this one, but it is very fucking interesting. RAF number 11 taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We'll see Ben Askren lace up the singlet one more time, taking on Bilal Muhammad in a pure wrestling match. Ben has basically been the matchmaker for RAF, and I'm not sure if this is like a ceremonial thing so that Ben can get one more official competition in and then quote unquote officially retire from combat sports, or what the fuck is going on here. But I saw a comment that had me looking into this earlier today, and the average life expectancy of a double lung transplant recipient under best case scenario is 5 years. That's assuming that they don't lace up a fucking singlet and try and go wrestle in the span of those 5 years. So I'm not 100% sure if this is one of those things that Ben is being Ben and actually wants to go in there and try and fucking hold Bilal Muhammad down and get points on him wrestling style, or if this is a ceremonial deal where they're going to have him come out, have, Bilal come out and then have Bilal actually be the good guy and just lay down and let him get his fucking points in so that he can retire officially from combat sports in wrestling where he started. And I'm hoping that that's what it is, but we haven't gotten any kind of a definitive answer from anyone involved since this was announced. So I'm very, very much genuinely hoping that this is just a ceremonial exhibition type of thing here, because if it's not, A, RAF is fucking ridiculous for doing this, and B, fuck Bilal Muhammad till he dies if he actually signed up to intentionally fight Ben Askren after his double lung transplant. So obviously we will be keeping an eye on that, and we will update that as we get a little closer to it and hopefully get some more information. But man, I hope this is just one of those let him walk out and lay his gloves down kind of situation here.
Hey, I got a question real quick. So these fights have to be sanctioned and people have to be notified and all sorts. Who in their right mind would allow Ben Askren to get back in the ring with anybody at any point in time?
This is a wrestling match, not a fight. They don't need a license. They don't have to be sanctioned.
Okay, heard.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm genuinely, and I'm not joking, and I'm not trying to make light of it in any way. I am genuinely hoping that this is a ceremonial thing where he can come in, do some kind of a showy fucking thing to call a quote unquote match, and then he can lay his wrestling shoes down in the middle of the fucking pit and officially say, I am now 100% retired from combat sports, and then move on with his goddamn life. Because if it's anything else, man, I don't know if I have the vocabulary to describe accurately how that makes me feel. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it's what we all hope it is. So we'll see. That being said, the week after that, July 25th, is the UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi card. And we got the official main and co-main event announcement for that card this week. The co-main event will be Umar Nurmagomedov taking on David Martinez. The main event will be Magomed Ankalaev versus Khalil Roundtree. I'm not really sure how I feel about either one of those. I understand at least why Magomed versus Khalil is happening, because they've got to sort out the top of 205 here pretty fucking quick, especially with Olberg on the sidelines now. So there's potential for an interim belt at 205. So they've got to figure out who sits where so they can start matchmaking for what could happen in the division going forward with the rest of the year. At the same time, though, I don't think either one of these dudes is actually the next runner-up, but with a good performance, especially in Abu Dhabi, where the crowd is going to go ape shit, could put themselves in the conversation. Umar is so far from the conversation, he couldn't do anything to put himself back in at this point, in my opinion. But again, a big win in Abu Dhabi, where the crowd will absolutely pop for him, will still look good on his resume, at least. That being said, a couple of interesting ones here. Excuse me. This one kind of made news for the wrong reasons, because unfortunately, in the world of combat sports and MMA fans, the tendency is to read the headline and move on rather than read an actual story and find out what it actually pertains to, as sad as that is. And I have seen no less than a half a dozen MMA media outlets covering just the headline of this story without actually covering the story itself. Octagon MMA, one of the European feeder promotions that we talk about all the time, basically, when you get a title or you get to the top of the ranks in that organization, you usually get a call from the UFC, from One Championship, from PFL, from the actual major leagues. It's essentially a high-ranking B-League organization in Europe that has funneled dozens of fighters to the UFC, PFL, One Championship. Like, they are legitimate. When you come through Octagon, you generally know your shit pretty well. And over the course of last weekend, they purged 30 fighters from their roster at one time. And every MMA journalist lost their shit for a little bit, thinking that Octagon is cutting a chunk of their roster. 19 of those 30 fighters not only weren't with Octagon anymore, but had already signed contracts and had fought already in other organizations. They just hadn't officially been removed from the roster, where we know that the UFC pretty much once a week does a roster purge, and accounts like Roster Watch will watch for the names that are no longer on there once that happens, because it happens often enough to miss them. Octagon was essentially the opposite side of that coin. They went, I think they said 18 months or 17 months without officially updating their roster. So this wasn't any kind of an actual purge from the rankings or purge from the staff itself. This was just technically updating their actual live roster to what's happening right now, who's actually fighting for them right now, which, to be fair, I get not doing it every week like the UFC, but going over a year and having fighters who literally have left your organization and already fought for other organizations still showing on your roster is just bad media management in general. So it's good that they did it. It's bad that most journalists only literally read the headlines themselves and then jumped to throw that story out there to try and sensationalize it when it really isn't anything that big. That being said, we do have some very interesting ones to close out here. 2 weeks ago, or I guess it was 3 weeks ago now with the break, we talked about it. Daniel Marcos was one of the fighters let go in one of those UFC roster updates every week, essentially. Uh, we got word officially from PFL this week that 3 days after he was released from his UFC contract, he officially signed on with PFL, and they expect him to make his debut in the coming weeks. They are still working out the technicalities, but literally 3 days on the market for a newer fighter, and the PFL had scooped him up. So it's always good to hear that fighters aren't spending time lingering. Kind of a weird one on the other side of that, though. After 10 years and 19 fights with the promotion, after his most recent loss, Max Griffin has officially been released from his UFC contract. He made a post about it Tuesday, I believe, of this week. Has no hard feelings, no ill will to the UFC. He understands that it is a business, and he has been there for a decade, and this was his third loss in a row. And that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles in the fight game. So he has no ill will. He also said that he has no inkling of retiring. He's going to get back in the gym, try and round himself out a little better as a fighter, and see where he can land next. So I don't think in any way, shape, or form Max Griffin is one of those dudes that is over the hill and doesn't have it anymore. He just wasn't a favorite of the UFC, and they tended to throw him to the wolves more often than not. Only so many times you can have that happen to you and be able to come back and realistically put on an exciting performance. Max might have just reached that threshold. So I don't think there's anything stopping him from going over to PFL or even to like an Octagon or something like that and still having several more good years of fights. He's just unfortunately not going to be doing it in the UFC. Last one I have got this week was a little bit weird, but it is definitely something worth mentioning here. Straight from the horse's mouth yesterday afternoon, Alistair Overeem did an interview where he said that basically he had no choice but to retire after the UFC had released him because he had been so injured so consistently, he hadn't been able to actually put on a full vested performance in one of his fights in several years, and that it was actually a blessing in disguise because when the UFC released him, he decided to retire from combat sports and then spent the next 3 years solely working on health and longevity as opposed to MMA training and short-term, visible fucking results. And that after 3 years of working on longevity, he's recently started to get back into some of his MMA training that he used to do. And even his training partners have now said it might be time to make a resurgence if you're going to do that, because that window is very, very small and closes very quickly and very hardly when it does. But this might be the point where he would consider coming back. And he said specifically, the only thing that would get him back to MMA is if someone like Rico Verhoeven would challenge him to an MMA match, which would never be in the UFC at this point. But he's more interested in a potential kickboxing comeback or just a straight up boxing comeback for just a couple of big fights. I don't really see any issue with any one of those so long as he actually holds to that. I don't need to see Alistair Overeem sign a 5-fight contract with any organization in any sport, but I wouldn't be mad at a celebrity style boxing match. Let him beat the shit out of some fucking dumb YouTuber and make a couple million and have a nice cozy fucking match that he can look good in. Take on somebody, that's supposed to be some big young hot prospect in kickboxing and send him to the fucking shadow realm and get himself a nice payday. I wouldn't be mad at any of those. Or hell, if Rico has decided that he's not going to go back to boxing and try and chase Usyk and beat the shit out of him again, set that fucking MMA match up. Rico has been talking about doing MMA for a while. Alistair's not going to get back in there with anyone who's legitimately a top MMA killer right now, which is smart. I wouldn't be mad at Rico Verhoeven making his MMA debut against an unretiring Alistair Overeem, because if you saw him in the interview, Alistair's still Dorito chip shaped. He has not lost much. I don't know if he's back on the horse meat or what the fuck is going on, but he's still in very good fucking shape. So a dude who's literally been sitting on the couch for 3 years but knows what he's doing versus a dude who's been active in combat sports for 20 years debuting in a new sport. I don't think that would be the worst matchup. And there, I promise you, are going to be big time fucking mismatches suggested in any combat sport just because of who Alistair is. But if he actually sticks to his guns and does what he's thinking about, I don't think this would be a bad time to unretire, so long as it is just a temporary thing and we don't see any big bullshit go on. Could be very, very fun. Could be horrible because his name is still valuable, but could be very interesting as well. That being said, that is what I have got for news for this week. Any of you guys have anything that I might have missed?
I don't know if you mentioned it, but there is a fight that's added to the McGregor Holloway card. That was seems like it was fairly recently, and it's going to be Bobby Green and T-Rex.
T-Rex. Yep. They just confirmed that this afternoon, so that was one of the first ones I had.
I had to step away because somebody decided to break the doorknob off my door. So,
of course.
Yeah.
No, that's what we've got for news for this week. So that being said, that will bring us to the point where if you are any long-term fan of the show, you will know one of our favorite segments that we ever get to do is a little thing we call the casual corner. And unfortunately, one of the side effects of that segment is that if you stick around for casual corner long enough, you kind of lose your casual status. And that is exactly what has happened to us here. We have our favorite casual that we brought in for casual corner, and he's now been watching fights with us long enough, seen enough to where he's starting to get invested and he just can't be a casual anymore. So now we're documenting the other side of his combat sports journey as he starts to dig in and actually learn why things work and what makes what do what in the combat sports world in a little segment that we like to call the next move with Flintlock.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. So we've discussed quite a few things throughout the past couple of shows, but today I want to pay homage to two specific gentlemen, Don Fry and Yoshiro Takayama. Those two gentlemen, when I think of the words Thai plum, that is the first thing that comes to my mind, is watching those two big brutes just beat the shit out of each other. Now, is every fight going to be like that? No. But is it good to watch a car crash every now and again? Fucking right it is. Now, with that being said, with those two legendary gentlemen and that huge, huge moment in combat sports, the Thai plum is not only used for hitting your opponent in the face. Now, while you can throw elbows and fuck somebody's face up, you throw your hand, you punches, you end up knocking somebody completely the fuck out. You also have a couple other options. Sweeps and trips. I haven't seen it that often, but I was talking with Meter earlier, and there's a gentleman that he remembers using the Thai plum to throw some guy on the ground. Before he even hit the ground, his feet were level with his head. It is a wildly universal, and it's basically like a utility move. You can do so much stuff, and it doesn't have to be elbows. It doesn't have to be hands. If you got somebody by the back of the neck and you're pulling on them, pulling towards you, all it takes is for you to grab the other side of their neck and bring it down to your knee. You've already, I don't know any I don't know if any of you have ever thought about it or anything like that, but if someone was to get in a fist fight and grabs you by the back of the neck and just starts hitting you in the face, that's not something I expect. Like, I expect you to throw a punch at me. I expect you to maybe throw a kick at me. Nobody expects you to get in their face and grab them by the back of the neck and start hitting them in the face. Nobody expects that. Why it's not used more widely for that specific what would you call it, the situation, I don't know, but like I said, car crashes are nice to watch, and the Thai plum, it's got to be one of the most, like I said, universal things to use. You have somebody on the ground in a matter of seconds. The body follows where the head goes. If you push that guy's head between his knees, guess what? He's going to the ground. Now, I'm not saying everybody can use a Thai plum, and I'm not saying that everybody or anybody can't reverse and or counter it, because I've seen it go bad for a couple people. Because just because you're throwing your hands doesn't mean the other person can't throw their hands too. I've seen guys get knocked the fuck out. I've seen body shots knock people out in the Thai plum. I thought a guy completely died watching a Thai kickboxing match. It's ridiculous. But with all that being said, Thai plum's got to be one of my most beloved moves in combat sports, just for the pure violence it brings to the fight.
Thanks, sir. I can absolutely agree with that. I'll roll that gift one more time just because I fucking love it. Uh, Don Fry and Takayama literally set the fucking standard for what the Thai plum is capable of. You can do everything with it, but just looking at that fucking gift, you can also see how fucking dangerous it can be in a split second's fucking time. So,
Mr.
absolutely.
Ta- Mr. Takayama's face was completely rearranged by the end of the first fucking round.
Oh yeah, Don Fry's fucking mustache was part of his lip at that point.
Right.
Takayama's fist had mashed like Play-Doh.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, the Thai plum is absolutely crucial in any well-rounded fighter's fucking resume, and they are absolutely a great fucking example of that. Thank you very much, sir. So, with that being said, if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, you inevitably start to learn what you like to watch, when it comes on, and how to find it. And after so long, you start to develop habits, and you inevitably will develop a set of blinders here, and you'll start to lose the forest for the trees, if you will. Luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a young person out there who is diligently and delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, Brenna. So, I mean, this one's gonna be easy this week, man. I mean, it's fights. I'm always up for watching some fights, but this is one of those weeks where I'm like, okay, I'm cool that I'm working Saturday. Maybe I'll get home in time to watch some of the fights with you boys. I don't know, and don't know when the main card actually will start this week, but man, it's a rough main event, which equals an even rougher card as a whole. So let's throw the whole thing in the shitter for the most part. Let's just make this nice and easy. This is worse than just a hangover card. This is worse than the pre-hangover. This is real rough. This might be one of the worst of the year so far, as a whole, not just a main event that we're getting. Now I'm gonna throw that in the trash itself. Bilal versus Gabe Bonfim as a whole, a living load of fucking horse shit. I mean, Gabe Bonfim got his ass kicked by Stephen Thompson the other year, and the judges fucking nodded Gabe Bonfim the win on that. Otherwise, he would have never gotten in the ranks in the first place. Now he's getting fucking Bilal's dumbass, who's still top five because he somehow won the championship. Is a lot of fucked up shit going on right now. But this is going to be probably one of the most boring watches, in my opinion, of the year. Neither of these guys are going to go out there and try to fight. Neither of them are going to have fire, passion behind them, try to strike, try to do anything entertaining. They're both going to try to hug each other for fucking 25 minutes and get the easiest, simplest win either one of them could ever fucking get, because that's how both of them try to approach a fight in the first place. It's going to be sad, sorry excuse for a main event. You got Bryce. Yeah, that's the other big one. Another big one I got to throw in the shitter. I mean, he did mention some shit today that I did actually enjoy for once, that I threw in the group chat. Like him actually talking about the fact that Government's not supposed to outreach the way that they have, not supposed to entertain people. They're supposed to be there to protect people, things like that. He actually made some smart statements talking about the whole White House card and shit like that. So, dude is a dumbass, just like Sean Strickland. But every now and again, they say something. It's like, oh wow, are they learning something? Probably not, but it was entertaining to hear him actually say something smart for once. No, it seemed like he played dumbass this week, but I do think he's set up for absolute failure. I thought he might have gotten the win against Victor Henry, but yeah, the changeup, like Meter mentioned in the old news, that he's the old can that I got to throw out there this week. He's gonna get dinged up real good, even though I like to root for the country boys. He's gonna get his ass kicked real good in 100. The guys on the fence. We're going to try to pull some shining lights out here. Like I said, the whole card is a whole pretty much shit. We got a couple fighters here that I'm actually excited to see how they do, and a couple fights in general on the card that might actually be okay. But other than that, that is where we're sitting. So contenders this weekend. We got Marcus McGee. I mean, after the loss to Peter Yan, dude still got a chance to bounce back in the bantamweight division. He looked real good getting in the UFC before that point. Peter Yan's motherfucking champion. We're not going to look down on him too much for that one. That's literally the only loss that he's had in the UFC. It was only his second loss in his whole fucking career. He can get back on the horse this weekend and throw him a real softball. Dude that ain't anywhere near no damn top 15. This John Giannis kid, this should be an easy work for him. It should be a nice bounce back. So he's got a chance to work his way back up. Throw him on the fence. Other one. We've seen this time and time again, though. So that's why I still can't say he's a contender at this point. He's still on the fence. My boy Edmund Shabazian. Fucking do it, man. That's the only thing I can really be excited about this weekend. Fucking hate Brendan Allen to all hell. Dude sucks fat, floppy fucking dicks. God damn it, Edmund. Fucking pull it out of your ass. Ah, dude's still 28 years old. Blows me the fuck away. He's been in the UFC for a fat ass minute, but he's already had this opportunity before, like I'm saying, to get in the top 15, to really get on a nice run. He's knocked tons of dudes that are middle ass fucking level out so many times. Get to the good fight. Fucking choke. You gotta stop doing that. So he's on the fence. I don't think he'll choke this weekend. But at the same time, can't still call him a contender. The shit that I'm excited for, though, like I was mentioning, that fight can't, out of all this whole fucking card, one of the only that could be exciting, could still be boring. They could grapple with each other for 15 minutes. It could be a little, and when I say grapple, Allen's not going to necessarily be seeking the submission. It's going to be rough to watch if they are grappling with each other and Edmund can't get his ass back up. Don't want to see that. But if they stay standing and striking, Brendan Allen tries to get in a little boxing match with Edmund Shabazian. It could be fun. You got Iwo Baranowski. He's one of the only dudes as a whole I'm excited about because that Polish motherfucker's probably going to get a nice knockout once again, and I'm going to be here for that. You got the Faris Ziam and Tom Nolan fight. This was one of the only other fights as a whole I got any interest in. These guys are a little ways away from the rankings still, in my opinion, at lightweight, but both of them are on a run. Pretty exciting. Getting finishes, getting wins. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how they've got themselves in this position. The UFC had to kind of pit them against each other. They don't like to do this a lot, but there's not a lot of fucking available names at lightweight. You know, we got a lot of the good guys, ranked guys, already booked, already fighting. I feel like there might be a good finish come out of that fight. It might be a good little fight. So I threw that on there. You got Jordan Levitt. I do kind of like how his career as a whole has been awful since he got in the UFC. Do felt like he should have got that win over Paddy Pimblett. Things of the nature, but things work out the way they do, right? He's made certain mistakes. He said in certain situations, but the guy's got potential, especially in the grappling. But he's also shown us the fucking knockout he got the other year. He can have some hands. He stopped fucking around with the twerking in his last couple fights. He cut down to featherweight. Maybe he's taking things a bit more serious. We'll see where he can go with it. That's the only other shining light that I got, other than the obvious one. The true contender on this card, the young kid Santiago Luna, who Mr. Meter mentioned, gets his opportunity to bust a cracker ass redneck white boy that never shuts his fucking mouth. He gets to knock him out just like Mr. Gian Silva did and make a nice name for himself, get a little skyrocket launch real quick and fast. This is only what, his second fight? He just had his debut, I think. Came off the Contender Series last year, just had his fucking debut. Nice little knockout in the debut. He come out here, lay the fucking lights out on Bryce Mitchell. They're gonna give him a fucking ranked guy right away, almost. I mean, might as well already sign him up for contendership. So that's all I got. That is the shining lights that we can fucking talk about as a whole. That's the only other thing that we can say. What Mr. Justin said earlier. Well, we're excited we're getting fights. And if you like fights, you don't care what fights they are. I mean, you'll watch a couple of homeless dudes fight in a fucking back alley. But for being honest, not a ton of talent or recognition or names on this card this weekend, so you got to throw it where it's belonging in the garbage. We got homeless people fighting in the alley this weekend.
To be honest, I just thought it was late night after the club was done, people fighting in the parking lot type shit, because that's kind of what this feels like. It's let's scrape the bottom of the barrel and offer people their obligatory fights on their contract. Call it a day. There's not one of these fights that really screams, I need to watch this weekend. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of mad this one wasn't overseas, so I had a reason to sleep through it. Now I'm just gonna have a reason to go out and have a fire on a Saturday night, which I'm perfectly all right with. I'll go and look at the fucking whatever happened afterwards, and if there was anything that was honorable mention, I'm sure somebody will tell me, and then maybe I'll go back and find that fight and rewatch it. But that's a strong maybe because there's nothing that excites me on this card. I mean, yeah, there's some people I want to see win, there's some people I want to see lose. The only mentionable for me is the shitter get off the pot moment for Junior Tafa. Either he wins or he's out. I'm pretty sure this is that shitter get off the pot moment for him. I know I've said it a few times, but I kind of feel like this one's it. If he loses this fight, I'm pretty sure they're gonna cut him. You know, we will have no more Tafa brothers in the fucking UFC at that point. Um, what's really weird is how bad some of these matchups are. And not because of like they're just poor fighters, but because they don't actually make sense for the divisions themselves. Like, why do we have Rasim and Tom Nolan fighting? That doesn't seem to add up to me. They're just tossing something for us and say, here you go, have fun with this. I don't see why Gabriel Bonfim is fighting Bilal Muhammad either. That's a pretty big stretch between number 11 and number 5. Pretty sure you should probably be ranked 7 or 8 before you're getting a top 5 appointment. But I mean, it is what it is. And how much is Bilal's head in this being is he's got to go do what I'm gonna call an obligatory handshake with Ben Askren in fucking another month in Milwaukee. Which, to be fair, I'm debating on going to just to see what fucking happens. I mean, it's only an hour and a half drive from here, and that's the end of next month, so you know, it might be worth it. Who knows? Maybe they actually do wrestle, and if that's the case, if Bilal gets beat by a double transplant I'm just gonna fucking just laugh because, you know, don't get me wrong. I I have nothing against Bilal's wrestling, but you don't get beat by a guy with a double lung transplant who just had it done, what, a year and a half ago at this point? And to be fair, I'm stoked that the dude wants to do that. Do I think it's kind of silly? Yeah. But you know what? The dude, the dude's obviously a fighter. I mean, eh, Ben Askren has been a fighter his whole fucking life. He's been a collegiate wrestler, and that's the only thing that to me is worth talking about right now, which is crazy. I'm talking about a fucking wrestling match that is probably just a show match, is what I'm gonna call it. Because I don't think they're gonna go hard in the paint. But goddamn it, Bilal, if he loses, they need to cut him from the fucking UFC, even if it is a show match, because you can't let the guy with the double lung transplant win. As much as I like Ben Askren and I know what a great wrestler he is, it's not a great look on Bilal if he loses. Oh, on the other side of that, just as a caveat, I don't know if anybody pays attention, but Ben Askren is actively training for this, and he has been actively coaching wrestling again, and actually in the gym, takedowns, the whole 9 yards. So he's out there. Be careful what you wish for. It's crazy when that's more interesting than this card.
I haven't seen Ben Askren since he had a couple of videos posted about after his surgery. Has he gained any type of weight back? Is he looking for?
He's gained some muscle mass back, not to the extent of where he was when he was actively fighting, but I mean, you're literally working off of somebody else's fucking used parts, so I mean, it's kind of like building a drag racer with bits and bobs from here and there. Yeah, you can get it down the track fast, but that don't mean it's gonna last long.
Well, that and when he finally got out of the hospital after he had his double lung transplant, he only weighed like 85 fucking pounds. Like he literally had atrophied most of his fucking body mass away. So just to see him putting anything back on is a good sign, but hopefully it's just for the show.
I think the best thing to see is that he's actively in the gym and actively wrestling, which to me is fucking absolutely crazy and very commendable at the same time. Can take the dog out of the fight, but you can't take the fight out of the dog.
No, I agree. That is fucking crazy. But this card leaves a lot to be desired, to put it as nicely as I possibly fucking can here. Um, this is the epitome of contractual obligations have to go somewhere. The very few of these fights actually make sense, like it was mentioned earlier, to their division, to the organization as a whole. But there are two, just two, that I am interested in, and they are not the main or co-main event. I'm here for Shabazi, and if he can get Brandon Allen the fuck out of the way, I would absolutely be cool with that. But I have a feeling that's more likely to be a 15-minute wet blanket session. The two that I am curious about, the first one, Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. Those are both two dudes who came in with a ton of hype and has essentially spent their UFC career tripping over their dick. They both had a couple of good moments, but nothing worthy of getting excited about, and both have tripped over the dick enough to be like, all right, let's move the fuck on. So this very much feels like it could potentially be a loser leaves town kind of match. Like if either one of these dudes can put a fucking number on the other one, the loser might genuinely be in next week's roster cut from the UFC. And I would be absolutely okay with that as well. The other one that I'm very curious about, I've only seen a couple people talking about, and I don't understand why this isn't a bigger fucking story. Jaisla Chavez versus Yunusi Dubin. 2 years ago, well, I guess it's 2026, so 3 years ago now, October of 2023, Jaisla Chavez was a fucking ring girl in Brazil. 2 years ago, she won her first pro Muay Thai fight. This weekend, she makes her fucking debut in the UFC. In the span of 3 years, she went from holding fucking cards on the side of a ring to beating bitches down inside of it. If that isn't a fucking come from nothing to be something story in the world of women's mixed martial arts, I don't know what the fuck is. Even if she gets her ass beat this weekend, in a span of 3 fucking calendar years, she went from fucking ring girl to UFC debut. Granted, Yunusi Dubin is only 6-1. This is Chavez's 7th pro fight. So neither one of them are the most experienced fighters in the world, but at the same time, you have to start somewhere. The fact that this girl is 6-0 as a fucking professional, was a ring girl 3 years ago, and is making her fucking UFC debut this weekend is something that should be paid attention to, in my opinion. There is absolutely a path to the top if you fucking work for it. I promise you, she didn't get to the UFC in 3 fucking years by being lucky and getting favorable fucking matchups. Watch her fucking social media. The girl has got some fucking skills. Granted, she's still young, she's still new into combat sports, but 3 fucking years from sitting cage side to in the fucking ring is an accomplishment worth talking about, in my opinion. So I'm very curious to see how that fight is going to play out as well. The rest of this card is a bunch of Priscilla Cachoeira versus Chelsea Chandler kind of bullshit, and I don't need any of that, but there are still a couple of shining spots in this very gloomy card, in my opinion.
Yep, said it about as best as we fucking could. Appreciate you, boys.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that will bring us to the only segment of the show that actually does require its own individual disclaimer. So, if you will. Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports, sponsors, or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does give you the option to go onto their website, make a free account, and play fantasy-style MMA like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there, so we made one. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who you are, and we will hold your picks accountable with our picks in a segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
I'm going to keep this short, sweet, and to the point because I have a lot going on right now. And so I'm just going to move through this very quickly. We'll hop right into Tapology. And I will let everybody know I did not put in fight picks last week because life got in the way. And, well, it is what it is. Chances are, with the way things are going, I'm going to have to be very careful and pray to God I get them in this weekend. If I don't, I'm not that worried about it. It's not that serious. However, for those of you that are listening for free and not a member of the Patreon, you should go and join Tapology as it's free, and we know you cheapskates like free shit. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening for free. You'd be a member of the Patreon, which is by way scrolling down below. It will also be in the links of any of your other platforms of choice. Now, on to last week's which would have been, I don't even remember, UFC Fight Nights, the Dong and Figueiredo. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked at this. So I haven't even looked at this at all until just this second. So it is quite impressive that Don got 9 of 13 correct. However, it was not enough. Christian took home that top spot at 10 of 13 and absolutely decimated the competition. Now, outside of myself not remembering to put in picks because life got in the way, there was a battle for last place. And it looks like it was a pretty good fucking battle there. Unfortunately, our resident Flintlock there decided to take down the bottom spot last week with 6 of 13, which, you know, we knew that first place luck had to run out eventually, because you can only have beginner's luck for so long. Congrats to Vendog not taking the bottom spot there, so that's a huge win for him. To be fair, outside of Flintlock's performance last week, everyone else was above 500. So as a collective, the group was above 500. And I can say that even with me putting no picks in, because the group did fantastic as a whole. So we'll do a quick jump into the summer shenanigans. Best I can already tell you where I'm going to be, and that's going to be somewhere down towards the bottom from not putting in picks last week, which I'm perfectly all right with. Christian with his fantastic showing overtakes the lead, gets in that first spot. Flintlock had a rough week, dropped to number 2. Meter holding steady at number 3. Donna sitting 4. Don sitting 5. Vinny gets to leapfrog me by 400 points because I didn't put in picks, and that drops me all the way down to 7. So I've got a long ladder to climb, and to be honest, don't think I'm going to manage it with only 6 events upcoming. I mean, stranger things have happened, but it could happen. Now, again, because life has been in the way, I haven't even looked at odds this week, so we're just going to pick a random one this week, and I think I'm going to use Caesars, because, that sounds like a great time. As a quick look over these, because like I said, I haven't looked these over. There are quite a few where there are some wider odds, so we'll hit those, and then we'll hit the widest odd, and of course the co-main and main. And I say that very loosely in a co-main and main. Jacilia Chavez, Yesenia Dubin, slightly wide odds here coming in at Caesars. They've got Chavez coming in as a minus 380 favorite, Dubin a plus 300 underdog. They're new fighters. It's not surprising based on what Meter was just saying a moment ago. So I mean, you got it right there. Another one of those fairly wide odds. Go figure. Another fucking women's fight. Ariana Canellosi and Ketlin Souza. Souza coming in as a minus 330 favorite. Ariana a plus 260 underdog. Not surprising. Another of the wider odds on the card here is one I mentioned earlier, Junior Tafa and Iwo Branowski. I'm probably martyring his name. The Pollock, and then, Tafa. Tafa, a plus 320 underdog. The Pollock coming in as a minus 420 favorite. Pretty wide odds there. Another one of those wider odds on the card here, Marcus McGee and John Yanis. Yanis coming in as a plus 380 underdog. Marcus McGee a minus 500 favorite. To nobody's surprise, because like we said, he's only had that one loss, and to be honest, he didn't look terrible in that fight. So, I mean, the guy's got a ton of potential. Now, for the widest odds on the car, actually, no, I'm going to skip to one other one before I do the widest odds here. And then it's going to be the Faraz Zahim and Tom Nolan. Nolan coming in as a plus 260. Faraz coming in as a minus 330 favorite. Oh, not surprising. Widest odds on the card, Alessandro Costa and Matt Schnell. Costa coming in as a minus 600 favorite. Schnell a plus 430 underdog. Are we surprised? Not really. Now, to cover the co-main and main, and I say that again very loosely. Brendan Allen, Edmund Shabazian. Slightly wider than coin flip, but not by much. They got Brendan Allen coming in as a minus 190 favorite. Edmund Shabazian a plus 160 underdog. Still pretty close to a coin flip, but not all that close to a coin flip. What is a very surprising one, though, is going to be the main event in Bilal Muhammad and Gabriel Bonfim. They literally have this a coin flip. Minus 105 for Bonfim, minus 115 for Bilal. So you're looking at a coin flip. You're not going to make any money off that fight. There are monies to be made off of other fights should the underdogs win. But again, this is one of those weeks where there's not any super crazy odds where you bet a little bit and could win a lot. It's one of those ones where you just group them up, parlay the shit out of them, and pray to God all your parlay parts hit. That's all I got for this week. Like I said, got some shit going on with life. So, short, sweet, and to the point. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm out.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. That is going to do it for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. Now, if you are new around here, first and foremost, thank you for hanging out. We appreciate you. If you like what we are getting up to around here, a like goes a long way. Subscription goes even further. Share an episode with your friend if we really tickled your pickle. But this is not the end of the fun. We try and do the show pretty much every Thursday when there are fights to talk about around 9 p.m. ish Central Standard Time on both youtube.com/at I'm No Joe, dual streamed to twitch.tv /I'm No Joe. So you can pick it up, and either one is easier for you. Free on both, of course. If you do not get to catch us live, we do leave the replays up on both platforms as long as they are allowed. So you can also catch the replay. If you missed the replay, we also understand that because we too own mirrors. And for that reason, the week after we go live, we put the all audio version of the podcast up on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. You can go there and get it through your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google, Apple, Spotify, whatever you use to listen to shit, it is up there and it is free as well. If you really like what we get up to around here, the best way to help us out is patreon.com/I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, you help us do what we do around here. And in exchange for your patronage, first and foremost, we put your name at the end of every broadcast around here so everyone knows how fucking awesome you are for helping us out. But more than that, if you subscribe to the Patreon at any paid tier, you get access to the unaired and unairable content, all the behind the scenes and the backstage bullshit that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a platform, as well as Patreon exclusive content, stuff that we make just for the folks who support us. So we try and make it worth your while to help us out. That being said, when we wrap the show up around here Thursday, that is not the end of the fun, because tomorrow and pretty much every Friday, this gentleman right here and his other half drop their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social medias and their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down in the description, whether you are watching or listening to this. Click on it and go check their shit out as well, damn it.
Appreciate you, brother. Can't fucking say it enough. Make sure everybody go show some love as well to the Brother Golf T Vapes. Brother may not be streaming on his own, but he was able to show up this week, just like my ass was off, was able to be here for the whole show. He's still got other socials, and he does great fucking things throughout the year, even if he doesn't stream on a regular basis. So you make sure you go follow all of the things that he's got going on down in the description for everything Golf T's got. Show the brother some fucking love as well.
Thank you, sir. Now, with the stresses of life, you may find yourself needing a pick-me-up. Little Birdie told me the meter does many things. You can find the many things that the meter does do by going to Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe, and that will take you to each of the many things that the meter does do. And I'm pretty sure you can catch a pick-me-up in there somewhere. Go check them out. It's worth your time. Hell, who knows? I need a pick-me-up. I might be going down that rabbit hole myself.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciate it. And yeah, if you find yourself a fan of Satan's Jazz Cabbage and need a little something to help keep you entertained, absolutely click on the other link for my main channel. There is plenty of higher education information over there to help keep you occupied and entertained. If you are just here, on the other hand, for the punchy kicky goodness, I don't hold that against you either. Click on the other link. That will take you to everything I'm No Joe. If you are new around here, I do want to mention before we get out of here that if there is a good finish to a fight over the course of a weekend while we are not live, I do my damnedest to put a short up here on the YouTube channel over on that shorts tab to at least give you an image of the finish and tell you what the fuck happened. So even if you can't catch all of the fights that go on over the course of the weekend, you can still keep your eye here on the I'm No Joe channel to get you all the information that you need. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.